So we know where New Amsterdam was. But what was it like? How big was the difference with the mega city that New York is now? If we take a plunge, do we find anything tangible that's left today of what was once a muddy trade town?
People always ask me what was left, is there a building, what artifacts are left from the Dutch period? Virtually nothing. The one really tangible thing from the Dutch period is the street pattern of the financial district. So these streets that we're walking, we could walk them with a map of New Amsterdam and still find our way around. It's that close.
Yes, most artifacts are gone. But what we do have is this, the so-called Castello plan. The only map that was created during the Dutch period and the closest evidence we have to what New Amsterdam looked like in its heyday. Over the years, the map has been redone a few times, so it's a little nicer to look at. And it makes it easier for historian Russell Shorto to guide us through the town.
This is Broad Street, which was named in the English period, and it's called that because originally when the Dutch came, there was a little ditch, really, a little stream that ran down there, and they widened it and made it into a gracht. So they wanted to have a canal, and they had a road on both sides. And so in the English period, it was the widest street around here, so that's why it's called Broad Street. And Bridge Street is so called because there was a little bridge over the gracht.
Well, was the gracht used a lot?
Well, used for what? I think it ended up being kind of a sewer, you know. If you don't look up at these buildings, and start to put some of this facts into your head and follow the street pattern, it's not so difficult. I mean, it is an act of imagination, but it's not so difficult to imagine yourself in New Amsterdam, despite the fact that we're on Wall Street. In 1653, the city got a municipal charter and they got a city council, and one of the things the city council did was to finally erect a wall. Some people think to keep the Indians out. It was really to keep the English out, and it didn't work in that capacity. And the wall was built here on Wall Street, of course. It was not, in fact, a proper wall. It was more of a fence. It was wooden posts.
But if you, like me, sometimes find it difficult to imagine it in your head, there are hints to help you out spread throughout Lower Manhattan. Here, for example, the history of the Herengracht Canal is written in the pavement of what is now Broad Street. Some parts of the old city remain, but very few. Here's one in a badly kept casing of a building which quickly became the most important building of New Amsterdam, the bar.
They liked their drinking, and this was the tavern. This was the Stadsherberg. It's very small, yeah. And this was the biggest building in town outside the fort. The Stadsherberg became the Stadthouse. So this then was New York's first Stadthouse. And which is why it is, if it was only a tavern, maybe it wouldn't be outlined, but that's why it's outlined in stone. So we are now in front of the quote-unquote fort. The Indians here, the Wakaskek Indians, they had a trail that ran the length of the island, all the way north up the island, and it came down to here. And so the Dutch built their fort on the water, nearest the harbor, at the place where the trail ended, and in the English period it became Broadway. So this is the beginning of Broadway.
The list goes on longer than one video can handle, but the internet and streets of Lower Manhattan are full of info if you're interested. The hidden gem in this park is a great starting point, right next to the Staten Island Ferry. It's the Castello plan. in bronze.
And we looked down and I said, this is all landfill here. And then we walked down Pearl Street, the Stadthaus, and then the houses of the conspirators.
And who those conspirators were? That's in the next episode.
Idea. Why don't we build a windmill again here somewhere?
You know, I think some people have brought that up. I think that's a good idea. But she's saying there should be a windmill again.
You just said there were two windmills.
Yeah,
here
there was
at
a
the
windmill
time.
here and
So when you
one.
said there were two windmills, I thought, why isn't there one now? Because that would really be representative of what the Americans think of is Dutch anyway, clogs and windmills and tulips.